Hi, I'm Doug from Dynamic Computing and welcome to episode 122 of 10-Minute Amiga Retrocast. Today we're going to do something a little different and we're actually going to play a few games, but there's a reason for that. You know, on my channel I normally handle productivity software, new hardware, things like that, but I do like to pull out the old joystick every now and again and have a turn at a couple of really awesome Amiga games, including some of the new ones that have been released in the past couple of years. Now, joysticks are always an issue on the Amiga. From the beginning, we were using the Atari-style 9-pin connector and an Atari-style joystick, which generally had just a single fire button. Now, the sad thing is, the Amiga from the beginning was able to support a 2-button joystick with no problem at all. If Commodore had maybe just released, or even included with the package, just a nice 2-button joystick, then more of our games would have supported 2-button joysticks from the beginning. Now it's not such a big deal. There's plenty of options out there for ordering new joysticks for the Amiga that support 2 buttons. But this little device is quite unique. This is from the guys who make TrueMouse for the Amiga and other platforms too. That is a 9-pin to USB mouse adapter that allows you to use almost any mouse on an Amiga. And hopefully if I can get mine working, I'll have a little mini review on that too. But this little guy, look at that connector. That's not a USB connector. What is that? A 9-pin to what? Take a look at what it's for. This is a 9-pin to Nintendo Wii Nunchuck adapter. That's the little thing that goes on the end of our Wiis and allows us to add a little analog stick and 2 fire buttons to the Wiimotes. He's adapted that with a little adapter that allows you to use this as a 2-button joystick on the Amiga, and for heaven's sakes, it works really, really well. Let's take a closer look. Now first we just plug the little guy in right here, just like so, and she's all hooked up. Now we're going to hook it up to joystick port 2 of the Amiga. Be right back. She's just plugged right into joystick port 2 of the Amiga 1200 here, the one that has my Terrible Fire 1260 card in it. You'll see the review for it right there. Now you will see that the cord for the nunchuck is not particularly super long. Maybe they made an extension, maybe they didn't, I don't know, but we've only got about a 3-4 foot cord on here, so take that into consideration if you're going to use this as a joystick. Let's boot up the Amiga 1200 and check out a few games. Now this is from our good friend Nivrig at Bitmap Soft. This is Turbo Tomato, which is a modern Amiga game based on code that he started writing about 1,000 years ago for the Amiga. You'll see the actual joystick itself works just fine, up and down. We can choose everything. Change our effects. Now let's go ahead and start it. Now this is just going to be a single button game. Now movement is absolutely perfect. Just single hand, one-handed, instead of having to hold a joystick in 2 hands, like we have to do with a lot of modern joysticks and a lot of the older ones too. And very, very responsive. I got no lag here at all. Button response is absolutely perfect as I blow up the innocent vegetables in the garden. Die, ahaha, banana. All who oppose me will perish. Yay! So definitely look into this game. I'll have links for all of the games down in the description. Turbo Tomato works fantastic with the joystick, with the nunchuck. Now this is a classic game right here. This is Banshee for the AGA Amigas. This is an absolute glorious game, and it's a 2-button game. You'll see what I mean here in a minute. Let's make sure it's set in 2-button mode. It presents Banshee. Oh, look at that beautiful intro screen. Absolutely lovely. Let's go into options here. Yep, 2-button support, no problem at all. Start the game. Get ready. All right, so the single main button, it's set for auto fire right now, shoots the missiles from my plane, which is down at the bottom, and the second fire button, well, will do a little loop-de-loop with my plane. Works absolutely perfect. So 2-button support in Banshee, absolutely fantastic. I'm having 0 issues with it. Of course, I'm not having 0 issues with the game because I'm bad at most video games. This thing is just absolutely beautiful example of what an AGA Amiga is absolutely capable of. Yikes. This is also a demonstration of what a bad video game player is capable of. Speaking of AGA Amigas, this is one of the finest AGA games created in the past several years. This is Reshoot R. Now this, I don't believe, has any second button joystick support, but it's such a beautiful game, and I want to show you how nicely it plays on a 68060 Amiga. This is a classic. The graphics were done by our friend Kevin, or Invent71. Did an absolutely fantastic job, and they have a new game that's going to be coming out soon that hopefully I'll be covering as soon as it's released. The object, of course, is to shoot everything in front of you and collect power-ups to make your ship more powerful. There's power-ups that make your ship faster, power-ups that make your bullets more powerful and be able to shoot more at one time. And there's also a story to the game, which is actually really cool. There's a speed up there. And you only have 1 life in the game, but every time you get hit, what it does is it takes away a power-up instead of destroying you. So the more power-ups you have, the more hits you can take. There's a weapon power-up there. You see my weapons are shooting faster. Control is fantastic. Even with one hand, right hand, no problem at all. Of course, you could play this left-handed too. And that now some games that require keyboard input, like maybe to fire missiles or drop bombs or something like that, this is nice because it leaves your left hand totally free for using the keyboard if you need to. Hey, look, I blew up. Now this is a great new release by our friend who also did Miss Pac-Man and Pac-Man recently, true arcade conversions. This is an arcade conversion of the really cool game Scramble, and it supports 2 buttons. If you start the game with just pressing a single button on a single button joystick, it's in single button mode. You press it with the second button, it starts it in 2-button joystick mode. And the main button fires your main weapon. Hey, look at that. Try and talk and play a game at the same time. And the second button fires your missiles, which I need to do here to beat these little turkeys. And of course, Scramble is a classic from 1981. Just an absolute classic. Kind of a predecessor, spiritual successor to R-type of games. Now, let me actually play for a minute without talking, because I actually know how to play this game, but when I try and talk and play a video game, I fail miserably. Die, die, die. Of course, you've got to hit those fuel tanks to keep fuel in your ship, and it's perfectly logical. In order to refuel your ship, you need to shoot the fuel tanks on the ground. That's how it works with my car too. I've got to drive by gas stations and shoot them with rocket launchers, and as soon as I do that, it fills up my tank. Works pretty well. Also supports auto fire here. I have no business talking and playing video games at the same time. This is why I don't live stream video games on my channel, because I would perish. I get so into what I'm saying that I forget to look at the screen, and there we go. The only time I can talk while playing video games is when I'm trash talking my son when he and I are playing together. This is a fantastic, pretty much pixel perfect recreation of Scramble. Yeah, it is not the most advanced side-scrolling shoot 'em up on the planet, but it is from 1981, and it is what kind of started the whole fad of this type of game in the late 80s and early 90s. So you have Scramble to thank for a lot of the games that you played on your NESs and things like that. And then really, this game is held up just fine. Still a beautiful game, plays nicely. 2-button joystick, works perfect. Here's another classic from JOTD, a almost perfect conversion of Miss Pac-Man, which is by far one of my favorite games. Obviously, this is not going to be using the buttons at all, except to start the game, but it is a good example of what kind of control you have using the analog stick here on, yikes, the nunchuck. And it actually works really, really good. I haven't had any issues with control, except the fact that, you know, again, I'm bad at video games. Actually fairly good at Miss Pac-Man in the overall scheme of things. He says as he's killed by the pink ghost. Yeah, but maneuvering's just fine. I've also played this with my very favorite game, Pac-Man Deluxe on the Amiga. Control is just fine again. No issues at all. Very, very responsive. At least I didn't get killed by the orange ghost. That's always humiliating. He's such an idiot. There's sometimes when you're playing this, you just can't get any of these ghosts at all. And you just feel like an idiot because you planned it out. You're like, yes, I'm going to grab all 4 of the ghosts. I'm going to get my high scoring points here. And then you like take a wrong turn and you miss every single blue ghost. It's horrible. So what's my opinion of this little device that allows us to use our Nintendo Wii Nunchucks as a 2-button joystick on the Amiga? For me, it's perfect. I've got like 4 pair of the nunchucks. I still use my Wii periodically. I absolutely love it. But it's great to have a secondary use for them. Now, I know the question you're asking, can you use it with anything else from the Nintendo Wii? Like the fairly reasonable Wii gamepad that also has the same kind of connector. The answer is no, doesn't work. The down and left seem to work okay. None of the buttons functioned. It doesn't do anything. Now, could Key in theory come up with one that does work with this as a 2-button joystick? Probably. I mean, I can ask him and see if there's a way to do that. But no, this doesn't work. I thought that'd be kind of cool if it did. Works great as a 2-button joystick. I don't mind just using the one hand to control it. Control is fine. A lot better than some of the big clunky ones. You know, they just, on the old hands, they just get the old hands sore. So for the price, which is pretty reasonable, I like it. Works really well. Thanks for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. I think this was also a decent demonstration that a lot of games, as a matter of fact, most of the WHD load games that I try work fine on an 060. They play just great. They don't play too fast. They don't play too slow. They just work fine. Huge thanks to my patrons. You guys are absolutely fantastic. You can see them scrolling by the screen here over a nice montage of me playing a video game quite badly here. But as long as I'm having fun. If you'd like to help support the show, pop on over to patreon.com/10mark, and for as little as $2 a month, you can sign up and you can join this illustrious list of incredibly awesome people. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. That makes a huge difference. Please comment below. tell me what your joystick solutions are for your Amiga. Tell me what you love to use as the joystick for your real Amiga. Love to hear about them. Please join me on the social networks. I've got a Facebook presence, Instagram presence, Twitter presence, which is where I do most of my stuff. Pop on over before Elon Musk buys the entire thing and ruins it all. But until next time, this is Doug from 10 Minute Amiga Retrocast, signing out to practice my trash talking for my next video review with my son.